Hello and welcome to Counseling and Career Services online resume and cover letter writing workshop. This video is part 5 in our 5-part video series where we will be discussing cover letters. The other parts of our video series include what makes a resume effective, setting up your document, content and sections, and writing tips. Throughout the video, I may be referring to exercises or samples. You can find links to these documents below. And you can also find them through our online resume writing guide available on our website at ulethbridge.ca/CES. Please note that the link for cover letter materials is different than the link to resume materials, so it's not the same as where we've been directing you in our other videos. Make sure you're clicking on the correct link so that you can find the right materials. If you're watching this video series on our YouTube channel, the correct link will be listed in the description for this video. If you're watching this video series on our blog, you can find both of the links that I mentioned below the video. You're also welcome to come and pick up hard copies of all of our materials. In Lethbridge, they're available in our office in Anderson Hall, room AH153. On our northern campuses, you can access these materials through the main office. So in this final series, we want to discuss cover letters. And cover letters are another important work search tool that can help you to grab the reader's attention and help you capture the interest of an employer. When you're writing a cover letter, it's important to use your own words. There are 2 reasons for this. First of all, of course, we don't want to be plagiarizing someone else's work. Secondly, we want to give the employers a good sense of who we actually are. So your writing should really be authentic. Make sure that you're highlighting your important information and that you're emphasizing what's unique to you, because nobody's going to have the exact same combination of skills, education, experience, and personal qualities. So you want to show your unique and well-qualified self to the employer. Remember to include relevant information and ask yourself if you have a reason for every piece of information that you're including. Oftentimes people struggle with writing cover letters because they're not quite sure what to include, so they just start listing off a bunch of things that they've done, whether or not they actually have a purpose for that information. So with every sentence that you write, stop and look back and ask yourself, why am I including this information? Why is it important to an employer? And have I actually explained to the employer why it is important? If you haven't, do some editing to add detail and explain to the employer why this particular piece of information is relevant. When you're setting up your document, you'll want to use a standard business letter format. For a detailed breakdown of how to write a business letter, see the Cover Letter Essentials document. You can find this document in the link provided below. It will take you through the kinds of information to include and how to set up your page, including things like contact blocks, dates, and greetings and salutations. A few important things to note. For your date, remember to include the date that you're actually submitting your letter. So if you start writing your letter today, but you won't submit it to the employer until next Thursday, put next Thursday's date on it, not today's. In your greeting line, try to address your letter to a specific person if at all possible. Using a generic greeting like "to whom it may concern" or "to sir or madam" is seen to be a little bit unfriendly and old-fashioned. So if at all possible, get the person's name and address it to a particular person. If you can't find the person's name, you can use something like "Dear Hiring Manager" or "to the Selection Committee." In the Cover Letter Essentials document, you'll also see a regarding line. So this is the line that starts off with the abbreviation RE and then usually includes something like the job title. This is just a nice quick way for you to draw the reader's attention to the purpose for your letter. It's not required, but it can be a helpful way for you to get information like a job posting number or competition number into your document. Finally, we want to think about the overall document, and usually we want to keep that to 3 or 4 paragraphs and 1 complete page. This will show that you know how to be concise in your writing and emphasize only the most important parts without writing the employer a book. We'll take a look at a sample cover letter together, but before we get to that, there are a couple of other points just to consider as you're writing your letter. First of all, if you have any kind of a referral or connection to the employer, make sure that you list that in your document. So you might say something like, I learned about this opportunity from my uncle Jim Smith, who works in your finance department. Or, I'm writing you this letter in follow-up to our conversation at the University of Lethbridge Career Fair in September of 2016. You also want to make sure that you're showing enthusiasm for the role and for the organization. Employers like hiring people who are enthusiastic and engaged in their work. If you actually are passionate and care about the work that you're doing, you're more likely to do a good job and to be a strong and loyal employee. So we want to make sure that we're showing the employer that it's not just, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe I'll apply for this job. It's, wow, I would really like to do this job and I think I would be a great fit for it. Here's why. And that here's why part is really important. So we don't want the employer to have to infer why it would be a good idea to hire you. We want to clearly show them what the benefit would be of hiring you, as opposed to anybody else who might be applying. So now we're going to take a look at a sample cover letter. This sample is available through those links listed below, and we're going to look at the one that's written from a person named Derek Trask. So you can see that this document is one complete page. It's 4 paragraphs long. It starts off with the sender's contact information, then the date that the letter is being submitted, then the contact information for the person that they're sending it to. We've addressed it specifically to a particular person, Dear Mr. Jacobs. We've got a regarding line saying, application for entry-level public relations trainee, reference number FR391. That information is important because it explicitly states which position we're applying for, and it provides the reference number. Now, some job postings will include a job number, a reference number, a competition number. They could call it lots of different things, but really what it is it's a sorting mechanism for the employer. So if they have lots of different positions being posted at one time, this helps them very quickly and easily discern which position you're applying for and which pool the application needs to go into. Most job postings that include a number will state clearly that you must include the number or your application will not be considered. So you have to make sure that you follow all of the instructions very carefully and include all of the information that the employer is requesting. This person is applying for a position within a public relations type of a role, and so that's what's going to guide all of the information that he includes in his letter. He starts off with an introduction, and you can see here he's specifically including the name of the position and the name of the employer that he's applying with. This is important because it shows that this letter was tailored specifically to this employer. It's not just a generic letter that he recycled over and over again. Then what he's done is he has given some information about what he knows about this company. So he's showing that he's done some research and taken an interest in the organization by stating, I am familiar with your business history and am impressed by your new direction to expand into European markets. Then he states, I am eager for the possibility of working with such a progressive organization. So this is about him personally wanting to work for them. And then he connects it to the employer and why they might benefit from hiring him by saying he feels he has a lot to offer to the communications team. In the next paragraphs, he's going to explain in more detail what it is that he has to offer. So he starts with a bit of an explanation of his education, and of course his degree is nicely relevant. His next piece of information talks about being a part of the intervarsity hockey team. But instead of just stating, okay, I finished university and I played hockey, he's thought about what skills are important for this particular public relations trainee role, and he has highlighted those in the context of his hockey experience. So he's talked about being the captain of the hockey team, which is a leadership role, and he's spoken specifically about how this has taught him outstanding communication and interpersonal skills, and given him the opportunity to deal extensively with the media. These are very important pieces for somebody who's applying for a public relations role. So this is what I mean when I say that we have to have a reason for every piece of information that we're including. If we simply state, I was on the hockey team, and leave it up to the employer to guess why that's important, they might not actually put 2 and 2 together. So we need to clearly explain to them, this is important to you because of these particular skills and experiences that it's given to me. Next, he's spoken about his academic career, as well as some of his extracurricular work and work projects. So you can see that again, he's highlighting different types of skills that these particular experiences have given him. He ends off by talking about his discipline and organizational abilities. And then he's provided some concrete examples of how he's developed those particular abilities. So rather than simply saying, I'm disciplined and organized, He said, "As proof of my discipline and organizational abilities, I have been able to work 30 hours each week while still maintaining strong grades in various leadership roles." He then starts to close off his document with a reminder of why he would be able to make an excellent contribution to the particular employer. And then he finishes off with inviting an interview and providing some more detail about how he can be reached. So even though we've got his contact information right up at the top of the letter, it's okay to reiterate that in your closing. Finally, he has thanked the employer for their time and welcomed contact from them. So this is really important. You actually want to remember that going through the hiring process is difficult for employers as well. So if you can show some thankfulness for the time that they're putting in, that can also help you to stand apart, because not actually everybody does. The letter is finished off with a closing. We usually want to leave 2 to 3 blank lines for your signature, and then we want to type out your name. Now, if you're submitting the document electronically and you can't actually sign your document in person, what you can do is you can just leave this blank. You could insert sort of a script font as well as a basic font with your name typed, or you could use an electronic signature if you have one. Either is fine. At the very bottom here, we have the abbreviation ENCL. This is optional. It just stands for enclosure, and it signals to the employer that your resume is enclosed. This concludes part 5 of our online resume and cover letter writing workshop. We hope that you found the information useful and that you will take the time to watch all 5 parts of our video series. We're happy to help with your documents or to clarify any questions or concerns that you may have. Please feel free to contact us at ces.students@uleth.ca or give our office a call at 403-317-2845.